It's time for Two Guys and a Goalie with Dustin Nielsen, Matt Cassian, and the goalie, Joaquin Gage.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Thank you very much for joining us for a Thursday episode of Two Guys and a Goalie. Nielsen, Cass, and Gager back with you once again. And Two Guys and a Goalie brought to you by our wonderful partners over at CoolBet. Sign up for an account today. You can start betting on NHL Futures immediately. Connor McDavid, point total set at 127.5. 82.5 assists. Cass, that look of disgust on your face makes me think you want to pound the over in that situation.
Well, maybe, but my look of disgust is more just how good he is. Like, that's what you're getting it set at. Like, he's just ridiculous. He's just so good. That's more what that look was I'm just like, he's so ridiculous. Like, we're talking about the over-under being set there. Like, that's nuts.
That is a pretty good point, Gager? Like, it's insane that an NHL player is sitting there with that type of number.
Well, they're going to need it. They can't score last two games. I'm worried
that's
here.
right.
Yeah.
Big time struggles. Big time struggles. We'll get into that. You know what, though? I don't know. I don't bet on a lot of preseason hockey, but I like the Oilers' chances of winning on Friday, unleashing McDavid and Draisaitl, and probably be a weaker Calgary group. So that should be an interesting one to watch for sure. Hey, did you guys see Aaron Judge hit his 61st home run last night?
I saw the highlights. Didn't watch it live.
Do you think that guy should have caught it?
Did it hit the glove, though?
It looked like from the side view, it looks like it almost hit his glove. I don't know if it was in and out, but it looked like he could have made a play on it, man. I don't know.
Yeah, I would have put more of an effort to lean into it. Like I would have been like, if I go down, I go down, but at least I got this ball. Like,
are you willing to sacrifice a 20-foot fall for $1 million baseball?
Yeah, I'd do it. Yeah, I'd do that.
I know. That's what I was kind of thinking too. I was like, it's 20 feet. You're probably going to get hurt an ankle, blow a knee or something, but you got a million reasons to do it.
Yeah, you could see the disgust in his face too. That was probably even better. It's actually going to probably suit him more, like just the marketing availability of him over the next few months. Just capitalize on that. I think would be good for him.
You know what? That's an interesting way to approach it. He's doing like all the TV morning shows in the country. Like, let's go to so-and-so who wasn't able to catch that baseball. I mean, you might be able to make it. You might be able to do that. Cass, would you fall 20 feet for $1 million? No?
For $1 million? Well, I mean, like, can we guarantee what the injury is going to be? Because that can kill you. Like, a 20-foot fall's not.
Yeah.
Like, it's not. It's not.
I mean,
nothing.
if you fall on your neck, you're not going to get to spend that $1 million. That's
yeah, true. I don't know. I probably wouldn't. I'd probably say no. I mean, if it was a 20-foot fall into like a pool, sure. Absolutely. Yeah. Then I'm doing that every single time. But
I would also jump into a pool for $1 million
from 20 feet. Yeah.
Hey, I would have caught that thing 20-foot fall and landed like Iron Man, full superhero landing.
Yeah, the full blown like straight down. That would have been classic. That would have been good. Okay, so preseason continues. Oilers and Flames last night. I mean, we're not going to dive too deep into that game, but I wanted to get to this last episode, and I totally forgot. Do you guys have any good preseason memories? Like, was preseason, Cass, I'm assuming for you, either everybody was trying to kick the shit out of you or you were beating everybody up. And Gager, I don't know, what was it like for you guys? What was preseason like? Cass, let's start with you, man. What was it like?
Yeah, I mean, I was the one trying out there. You're trying to pick fights with older guys, veteran guys. They're not the ones that are necessarily out there looking for you. Probably my favorite preseason memory, though, still is that first preseason game. So that's your first actual taste of the NHL, first time being on the ice with NHL players. And mine was on the road in St. Louis. I just remember the biggest memory of that game was stepping on the ice and, going to do that first lap. And Keith Tkachuk and Paul Kariya were standing right at center ice, like right by the dot. And I'm just skating by going like, what am I doing right now? Like, so it was a surreal, but not in a bad way, but in a good way, where it was just a cool experience to be like, I am actually on the ice with these guys in a not a regular season game, but in an actual game. And it was just a super cool experience. So that was my biggest preseason one. The rest of it was, I mean, you're fighting tooth and nail to either, earn a spot, to get a spot, to take one from somebody, or to hold on to it. So,
did you fight
training
anybody
camp's
that
really
game, Cass?
stressful.
I'm trying to think
don't
of St. Louis.
that game.
I don't know.
I'm trying because I'm trying to. I think it was the next year. I ran over somebody. Tyler Strachan was who I ran over, and I ended up fighting Eric Brewer. I think that was the next season though, and it was one of those ones where you punch somebody and you hear it yourself, like even over the crowd, like the solid connecting. So I conkied him. He didn't go down, but it was right in front of our bench. And so the guys after, everyone was like, whoa, like, I can't believe he didn't drop. He left the game and was conkied. He missed the next couple. But that was one where it's like I hit the guy, I hit Strachan. I actually don't remember what preseason that was. But it was St. Louis. So I can't remember if that was the first one or one of the next ones. But yeah, there's a couple. There's lots of preseason fights.
Danger, what about you, buddy?
Always fights.
Well, I remember my first actual game. It was in Winnipeg actually, and we were splitting, and I went in the second half, I think, and I remember making a big save on, I think it was Eastwood. Was it Eastwood? I made a big kick save on Eastwood, and we won the game. And I made another couple of good saves. I think Solani played that game too, and so it was being in that old Winnipeg rink too, with the picture of the Queen up in the rafters there. I just remember all that stuff, and it was a packed house, and like Cass says, it's crazy when you go out for warm up and you see, like, you're already in shock because you're wearing like an NHL jersey with a bunch of other NHL guys, but then when you look to the other side and see the opposing uniform, like you're playing against the Winnipeg Jets, like this is absolutely crazy that your trajectory has gone from it. I just remember just probably going through my whole life and then getting to that point. It's amazing. You've made it, not really, but you've kind of have. And I just I was beaming after. The one thing I do remember is just having a huge smile on my face and doing interviews after and saying, God, this is so cool that I got to play in an NHL game. This is ridiculous.
You said something there that you won't hear a lot of goalies say nowadays, and that was made a nice kick save.
Well, I had to throw that out there because I threw out the full skate save, came down, ripped one.
Full skates, yes.
Oh yeah, yes. Glove side, kicked it off in the corner, control the rebound, Dusty. Oh, it was a kick save.
Man, I had an Andy Moog instructional video because I was a goalie from 7 to 12 or 13, and I had an Andy Moog instructional video where all he did was kick saves. Like, it was essentially just kick save after kick save after kick save. It was awesome.
Such an inefficient way to stop a puck. Just so ridiculous that it's amazing, because I'm sure if you tried to get any goalies now, it would break their ankles because the way the pads sit on the skate and stuff and how the skates are made, every goalie's foot would be broken. But I doubt that they would ever be able to do that. I still try in men's league. A guy will come down if it's a slow enough muffin, I'll throw the kick save out and everyone just goes nuts. It's great.
You're not throwing one up me, Gager, because I'm trying to go bar down.
Oh, you're trying way too hard, Cat. Jesus, you're lightning. Like, if he's warming up the glass, is hitting off the bar, or just rifling at shelf and then just screaming afterwards. Even in warm-up. The worst is Sean Brown. Sean Brown.
Oh, Brownie's bad. Yeah, he goes hard.
Really bad. Like, he'll shoot. I'll just go in there, to get warmed up, and he'll come down to the hash marks and just rifle one bar in, and then ride the stick down. And there's people that what's wrong with this guy? He's just crazy, but he does it every single time.
That's funny. It's funny. The other thing in that video that Andy Moog would always do would trap pucks on his blocker with his glove.
Yeah.
They just kept doing high shots of the blocker, and he just kept trapping like this. I remember practicing. I was like, why am I doing this? What is this about? Made no sense.
I did that to a certain level, Dusty, and then I did it too quickly and broke all my top two fingers on my glove because there's no protection. And I just said, why am I doing that? I'm just blockering this into the corner from now on. Because you would have goalie coaches that would say, okay, trap it on the blocker. What are you trap it on the blocker?
Yeah.
That's good, actually. I'm going to try to do that next men's league.
You should try to do that in a men's league too. The old trap it right on the blocker.
I'm going to trap it. I'm going to bring it all back. 2-pad stack, kick save, blocker trap.
That's the only 3 ways you stop the puck. Simple as that. All right, Oilers Flames last night. Look, it's weird because, the Flames starting that big lineup, the Oilers really don't take any of their – they took a couple of top 9 guys down, give Holloway an opportunity. Like, to me, viewing it from a media perspective or how fans might view it, almost like a throwaway game. You got 8 preseason games. You're sending the B squad down. And, Cass, I feel bad for evaluating it as a throwaway game because for, 5 or 6 guys in that game, they're trying to do something to make the team. For some other guys, it might be the only game action they get, and they're going to be sent down right away. So how do you play in a game like that, knowing that that's kind of what it is, but still the same trying to do your absolute best? That's got to be a weird vibe, I would think.
A little weird, but you're in a mode where you're trying to prove yourself. You're trying to make a difference. You're trying to stick. You're trying to show something. So I don't know. I think you go through a couple different. There's a lot of self-talk. Or at least for me, there was where you're coaching yourself on how you need to approach these games, and they're not for players that are trying to make the team. They're not throwaway games. They're important games, important moments in those games, important evaluation moments in those games. Because even if we're viewing this as being it's a little bit of a throwaway, it's really not. And you're still, regardless of if it's a full NHL roster or not, you're still playing against some of the best players in the world, or players that will at some point be some of the best players in the world. So it's not like it's not like it's a junior hockey game all of a sudden. It's still really good hockey, really high quality hockey. So you're going into it with objectives for what you want to accomplish, and you're still going to get evaluated and everything. So still important that you pull some value into it. But as a fan, when we watch them, we kind of know that they're throwaway games.
Yeah, it's tough. Yeah, you just want to say it, but it kind of is. Gager, what about for the goalies last night? You're probably going to get peppered. The other teams bringing their big gun or have their big guns playing. They're going to lead to some great opportunities. Might be a chance for the goalies actually to kind of settle in a little bit last night. Maybe it's the opposite for them.
That's a great opportunity. Actually, you look at it and you're going, oh well, we don't have the stronger lineup, but if you can go in there and perform, Dusty, and take a few goals away, make some big saves, and possibly win that game, that's the coaching staff's going to remember that for sure, right? So games like that are more. I looked at them as a opportunity to show what I was capable of, right? Sometimes when you go in with the superior lineup and you're playing their minor league team, then you're like, oh gosh, I have to win this one, right? It's there's almost a little bit more pressure on it that way. So it was. The Flames were stacked. The one thing I did take out of that game is that Mackenzie Weegar he's a pretty good player. That's a nice player on the Flames. That's a good pickup.
You think they'll be the easy answer is different than last year, Gager. I think it's okay to say they won't be better in the regular season, but do you think they're close to being as good as they were in the regular season last year?
Oh, I think they're better, to tell you the truth.
You do think they're better, eh? Straight up?
Yeah. I just that decor's good. Markstrom's, he was 9 shutouts last year or whatever it was. Kadri looked really good. Huberdeau did that one play on, I think it was Holloway, where he separated him from the puck a little bit and then turned and just rifled the pass.
That was a ridiculous pass. Yeah.
That was a joke. And I just don't that's just a play that Johnny Gaudreau, granted he makes some great plays too, but that's just not in his quiver of arrows, so to speak, right? There's another dimension that Huberdeau has that's more, I think, geared more towards playoff hockey. So yeah, I just think they're overall better, Dusty. It's going to be neck and neck throughout the whole year for the Pacific Division between, I think, Calgary and Edmonton.
And we will get to a Pacific Division preview on Monday's episode of Two Guys and a Goalie. So make sure you join us for that as we take a closer look at the Oilers division. Today we're going to take a look at the Central division. We'll get to your most important player in this division, your breakout candidate in this division, the most underrated player in this division, and we'll kind of start with the wildcard teams after I lay out what I've got. And look, once again, I mean, not a lot of, like, I don't see one team jumping up here and stealing the show this year. There's a few conversations to have. So my predicted order of finish in the Central this year would be Colorado, Minnesota, Nashville, Louis, Dallas, Winnipeg, Arizona, Chicago. That's kind of how I view it right there. And this is a nice way to launch into our wild card teams in this division. Gager. I mean, there's one team that I wouldn't mind talking about a little bit, but Gager, wild card team in this div for you. Who's the one that kind of intrigues you the most?
Nashville Predators, actually, a little bit. You look at their lineup and they're forwards anyway. They don't have the true superstar, I don't think, but it's very, very even. I mean, Forsberg's great. They got Duchesne and stuff, but the addition of McDonough, and so now they have Ekholm and Yossi and McDonough. You're going to have a really high caliber defenseman on the ice all the time with the Predators. And by all accounts, if Saros is going to keep playing the way he did last year, where he was a Vezina caliber goalie, I think they're going to sneak up on a lot of teams just by solidifying the D a little bit more with that addition. And they're just solid. They're forward group. They're going to be a hard team to. They're going to be hard to score on, first of all, and they do have some guys that can put the puck in net. So I think they kind of fly under the radar a little bit with me because they don't have that one real. I know they have Yossi, who's a superstar, but you know, the real marquee guy. Maybe it's because it's in Nashville, but I just look to them to surprise some teams.
Went out with a whimper in the playoffs, but we have to remember they didn't have UC Saros. And Saros is an absolute game changer between the pipes. Cass, who's your wild card team in that division?
I had the Nashville Predators as my wild card team as well, because I have no idea how they're going to be as a team. Like I don't know what we're going to get. I don't know if they're going to be good. I don't know if they're going to not be good. It's like there's a level of unpredictability I feel with them where I just don't know. I don't know what we're going to get with them. So to me, it's like they could be a pretty good team if everything falls into place. They could surprise some people, or they could struggle as a team. And I think, if they struggle, it's going to be because they struggle to score goals. So, the by committee approach might not work as well for them this year. Maybe. I don't know. They're an interesting group to me. So to me, they're the wild card team. They're where it's just like, I don't know what kind of team Nashville's really going to be.
I do wonder if they can do it offensively again. Like last year, they had Yossi, who had almost 100 points as a defenseman. They had two forwards over 80 points. Granlund was over 60 points. Like, it seemed like all of a sudden the Nashville Predators found an ability to be offensive. I mean, if they can continue to do that again, they should have the blue line and the goaltending to be a playoff team. But I understand why both you guys view them wild cards, kind of for different reasons. All right, who's the most important player in this division? Who do you guys got listed as the most important player in the division this year?
Well, I'll go first, but of course I got to take a goalie, and I think it's the Flower. He's got to have a season like he's had in the past, like a Vezina caliber season. They got rid of Talbot. They had one of the best 1-2 punches, and now he's got to play better in the playoffs too. I just think there's a ton of pressure on him. They made a huge effort to get him and to keep him. I just think that, we were talking about the Wild last year, possibly surprising some teams in the playoffs and that early exit again. And I think mostly was because of substandard goaltending in the playoffs. I just look to, he's got to have a really good year, solidify that position, and have success in the playoffs.
Cass, where are you going?
Another player on the same team. I'm going to go with Kirill the Thrill, Kaprizov. I think, the goaltending is close in that one. I think, Marc-Andre Fleury is pretty important to have success. But if Minnesota wants to win and get over that playoff hump and move past the first or second round, Kirill the Thrill has to be as thrilling as he has been. I mean, he's got to have another stellar season, has to be another top point producing guy, up there for leading the league. He's got to be well over 100 points, and he's got to produce. He's got to be the guy. He has to be the guy to lead that group over the hump. And We know their defense is going to be pretty good. Goaltending looks like it should be good with Marc-Andre Fleury if he can have a good season. The offensive side of the game is where they I don't think it's uncertain that they're going to have success, but they need to have success. And to me, Kaprizov's the driver of that. So to me, he's I think the most important player in this division right now is Kaprizov.
Dusty, do you think like these two teams, Nashville and Minnesota, are they like? I do think they're playoff teams. Are they like kind of front runners? Do you think for Patrick Kane at that deadline trade? Do you think he would go to one of those teams? Because he's like kind of a player that I think would really put either one of these guys.
Both of these teams could you? I mean, Kaprizov's the best offensive player here, but yeah, man, I don't know. That would be interesting. I mean, he's familiar with them. He's played within the division for a long time. I mean, my question kind of is, can any of these teams push Colorado? Like, I don't think Colorado will be as good as they were last year. They've lost some pieces. So can one of these teams push Colorado for top spot in the division? I think that's a storyline that we can certainly follow as we work our way through the year here in the Central. What about an underrated guy? Is there anybody that jumps off the page that deserves a little bit more love in this division?
Well, my guy's Jason Robertson. I don't think he's signed yet, though.
No, he's not signed yet. No, he doesn't got that deal yet.
Signed. So
they got to get that done, man. He's a huge piece.
He is. I really think he would flirt with 50 goals next year. Like, I think I said that before. He is an unbelievable talent. I love watching this kid play. Just a sledgehammer for a shot. If the Stars don't, they got to get this done quick, because we've seen in the past when guys don't join the team in camp, and I don't know if he's probably not skating with anybody, but if they don't get him in there and get that kind of start of the season going, that's a huge hill to get caught up to speed and stuff. And he's such an integral part of that team. But if he gets in there, I'd look to him to score 50.
They've got Sagan at 9.5 for the next 5 years, and Jamie Bennett 9.5 for the next 3 years, just in case you were wondering where the Jason Robertson money is right now, because he's by far a better hockey player than those two guys at this stage of their career. Cass, who's the most underrated player in this division?
I'm going with a guy that signed a long-term deal. Maybe some people kind of snuffed their noses at the price tag of it. But I think it speaks to how much his team values him and how important he is. I'm going with Robert Thomas, center for the St. Louis Blues. Really, really good player. Good two-way player, plays in both ends of the ice. Young guy, gets a long-term deal. I think we saw his breakout season last season, where we saw what he was capable of, where he transitioned from really just being a kid into moving into now at 23 years old, what I think is going to be, his prime years for the next 3 or 4 years. A lot of people, I think, thought the contract may be a little bit too long for him, but I think they went with some cost certainty on it to say, you know what, we really, really think this player is really valuable, so we're going to lock him up for a long time. I think he is. I think they see him as being a really, really important part of this team. And he's a player that we don't really talk about, or no one really talks about that much, because he's not like a marquee name. But if I'm looking at guys in this division that are underrated or that may fly under the radar a little bit, I think Robert Thomas is one of those guys. So to me, he's I don't want to say he's a clear-cut winner in an underrated competition, but I definitely think he's underrated and a guy that flies under the radar.
Gager? Let's dive over to the breakouts, buddy. I think Cass hit a good example. Robert Thomas, full-blown breakout last year. Like, all of a sudden, you're like, holy shit, look at how good Robert Thomas is. And I think the way he described him as flying under the radar for his level is probably the best way to describe Robert Thomas right now. Who do you think could have that type of season, or who do you think kind of breaks out in this division this year?
I don't know, Dusty. That's tough. I don't really have it. It's like,
Cass, is anybody jumping out for you? What do you think?
I don't.
It was a little tougher. I mean, Robert Thomas kind of fits into that, but I think last year was his big,
last year was his
was his big breakout breakout year. I don't think anyone really well, actually, you know what? Because I kind of thought about this. I'm going to go with Bowen Byram.
Oh, that's a good one.
Okay, yeah.
He would be, and a little bit of a breakout night. I kind of chewed on it a little bit because I was like, well, he kind of had a breakout in the playoffs where he all of a sudden showed people what he's capable of. But I think we're just going to see an extension of that where he's going to be there. My second that I would say also with the Colorado Avalanche, also potentially having a big breakout year. And again, same thing he kind of already did, won a cup, but would be Alex Newhook, also with the Colorado Avalanche, where there's another, an Alberta-born kid. I think he was Alberta-born.
Oh, he's from the
Newfoundland. He's from East Coast, but he played hockey out here.
Yeah, he played in the BCHL, didn't he?
In the BCHL.
Yeah.
Yes, he was born out east. He's another player I think that is a young player stepping into the league is, primed for what could potentially be an explosive season.
He's going to have to, I think, more than anything. I think that's one of the reasons they could let Kadri go, kind of, right? Is because he played so well in the playoffs last year too. That's a good one.
Looking at Marchment, Mason Marchment, who comes to Dallas from Florida, had like 18 goals, over 40 points last year. One of the pieces, Dallas didn't bring in a lot, but brought him in. Could see him factoring in maybe a little bit. Another guy to watch for in that division as well. That's your Central Division preview. Got it out of the way, right? Had to kind of take a look at everything, but we're going to dive into the Pacific Division on Monday. Very much looking forward to that. What do you guys got going on this weekend? Well, Gager, I know you'll be locked in Formula One all weekend. I've got some CFL football on Saturday. I got to work, call that Elks game. Hopefully it's a win for them at home, but very much looking forward to getting Formula One back this week as well. It should be a good week. Singapore should be fun, right?
Oh, it's looking great so far. Just some of the stuff. We got the 3 things this evening with F1 TV. I'll be glued to the TV later on for sure, Dusty. You'll get my tweets.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we know. Cass, what do you got going on this weekend, buddy?
We were talking about taking the kids maybe to the Elks game. Afternoon game. They haven't been to one before. Going to be great weather, go see, because my dad's typically on the sidelines still for the home games. So, they would be pretty excited, and I'm sure he would be too, just to show up a little early so they could see, they call him Opie, so they could see Opie on the sidelines. They would be pretty pumped. Doubtful that they would make it through the whole game if we end up going, but we're kind of taking a peek at that. So that might be what we end up doing.
Oh, we could all be there. Gager's going to be slinging wieners.
Well, swing by consent.
Yeah.
You'll be getting a dog from me for sure.
When Lord knows they're going to want treats, so it wouldn't surprise me.
My kids will be there too. They're excited to go too. It's just perfect time, great weather. Hopefully they get the win, and it should be pretty good. We're looking forward to that. Well, maybe we'll see everybody there. That'd be fun. We can all go have some hot dogs at Gager's concession stand. That'd be a good time. All right, that's gonna do it for another episode of Two Guys and a Goalie. I do think in hilarious fashion, Gager froze right at the end of the episode, so that's terrific. For Gager, Cass, I'm Nielsen. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast if you're watching the live stream. If you're watching the live stream and you've not yet subscribed, just search Two Guys and a Goalie on all your podcasting platforms. We will talk to you Oilers division preview on Monday. Looking forward to that. See you then, boys.